So let me jump a little bit to the conclusion. By way of conclusion, let us ask, why is the animal and especially certain birds preferred symbols or prominent symbols of wisdom? What is it that makes birds seem like a welcome balance to human wisdom? Human beings are beings of lack. From a biological perspective, human beings are born prematurely and without feathers. As we already saw in the case of Aristophanes, a major reason to explain the fascination with birds is that they, in contrast to humans, are capable of flying. In each human there's a trace of the Greek mythical picture of Icarus. Icarus does not listen to the advice of his father Daedalus not to fly too high or too low to evade the heat of the sun, and not too high to evade the heat of the sun, and not too low to avoid the vapors of the sea, which would destroy the technology that lets Icarus fly as if he would be a bird. Humans are both incapable of and existentially drawn into the lure of natural flight. Prostheses such as airplanes can approximate, or like Icarus' wings, they can approximate, but they cannot really satisfy and fulfill this desire. Animals and birds in particular are what we often see and hear but do not completely understand, even if we find them fascinating. They are like witnesses of us who put into perspective our given perspectives and teach us to take less importantly our tendency to take human wisdom to be the most important of things. Birds fascinate, and we encounter them in attitudes ranging from wonder to anxiety. At the bottom of this fascination is the imagination of a vertical and at the same time effortless, gliding bird's eye perspective that is both suggestive and impossible to attain for human beings. The possibility of lifting off and effortlessly regarding the world from a top-down celestial perspective is qualitatively different from the experience of creatures whose movements are, for the most part, restrictive to walking on a horizontal plane and occasionally swimming or crawling. Humans are beings who are incapable of flying and whose vision is, for the most part, directed horizontally rather than vertically. Moreover, the owl in particular is appealing because it is equipped with night vision and can thus see what remains hidden from daylight, which also adds to the kind of anxieties we have. This constitutes the owl's mysterious but also often uncanny and visionary character that we see here in this 43rd Capriccio from Goya, and it's titled El sueño de la razón produce monstruos, or the sleep or the dream of reason that produces monsters. And so the owl here quite prominent, hovering over the sleeping reason of this poor fellow here. Contemporary philosophers have started to take the animal perspective more seriously in recent years. Thus, the American philosopher Thomas Nagel, for example, raises the question, what is it like to be a bat? Human beings do not have experimental insight into the experience of seeing like a bat sees, if one can at all speak of seeing for an animal that uses high-frequency sonar system. The bat emits sounds beyond our hearing range and interprets the echoes that will be reflected by objects within range to acquire a sense of orientation. This sense is rather distinct from our human sense of orientation, and our imagination is too limited to grasp what it would be like. As an acoustic phenomena, we might conjecture that the bat calls or hears what a room is like rather than seeing it. In short, we know that there must be some way in which it does feel, in some way which exists that feels to be like a bat, even though we will, as human beings, never know what it is for the bat. We can imagine what it might be like for us, but not what it would be like for this bat. Ultimately, the bat remains for us, in spite of increasing biological knowledge, a fundamentally alien form of life, as Nagel says. How is our knowledge of an alien form of life that we know of but do not understand matter? So I will leave this as an open question, but instead of a conclusion, and in order to return to Minerva's owl, a brief reference to the visual arts could prove helpful. In addition to numerous other animals, Picasso had a profound artistic as well as personal appreciation for owls. He depicted them again and again and saw in the owl the bird of both wisdom as well as death, as well as violence. In Picasso's owls, the depicted owls often take on human form, or the humans take on the form of owls. Picasso himself, an odd Spanish Kauz, as we would say in German, a kind of oddball or crazy bird, frequently lived with rescued owls over extended periods of time. He even conversed with them and watched them prey on mice and small cats. This must have been particularly intriguing to him, to watch them prey these animals that sometimes Picasso then even contributed to by bringing in more mice and so on. His owl depictions masquerade the clear-cut boundary between animal and human existence. In these works, traditional anthropocentric perspectives are being reversed, and the spectator invited to imagine the animal as human and vice versa. In one photograph, it is not so clear who is imagining whom, Picasso his owl, or the owl Picasso, or perhaps the painted owl in the background, both Picasso as well as the adopted owl. It does appear that Picasso and the owl have a strikingly similar gaze, at any rate. The owl depicted on the left bears Picasso's photographed eyes, the owl here on the left, while the owl on the right is a statue of a gray owl is painted with a female face. On the base, one can read the words Carnival there, suggesting either that the owl is a mask for the woman, or the woman is a mask for the owl in this particular depiction. These works invite humans to rethink the tendencies of considering the pursuit of wisdom all too seriously, and to see it in a way as a carnival. Imagining animals as humans allows to decentralize the human perspective and thereby reveal the philosopher's blind spot. Thank you very much. ご清聴ありがとうございます。